Hi guys, I hope that you are doing well. Do you remember me? I know it's been, oh my gosh, it's been like a month and a half or maybe 2 months since I've been on the channel. And of course I apologize for that. And you know, sometimes people kind of disappear because maybe they're going through something, right? Or maybe they're just simply busy. I disappeared because there was a major focus on a couple of things in my life, and I've accomplished a lot in the last 2 months, and I can congratulate myself. I'm not gonna go in depth with what it was, how much of it was. I'm just gonna say that one of those things I was working on for the last 12 years. And this is why I always say that we cannot give up. And I've been saying it since I started this channel in 2017, you know, that because I was going through stuff back then, and you know, I had good results, and I had good results again after a long period of working hard and not giving up, right? Going through many different challenges but never giving up. And again, I can put my signature under that again, because I didn't give up, and I've accomplished a lot in the last couple of months. I did, however, take a lot of my focus, and now I am back on here. I have been working with clients behind the scenes, but the channel is so different from working one-on-one with people. And unfortunately, you know, it just wasn't a priority, you know, and I hope that you guys understand, and whenever I can, you know, I'm here. And I have my view on this upcoming transit of Saturn in Pisces. I have my own view on upcoming transit of Pluto in Aquarius, and I will post these videos, and I will try and keep up with monthlies as well, because, you know, I do not want to ever abandon this channel. No matter what is going on in my life, I don't want to ever say goodbye to the channel. And this is why I'm gonna post these, you know. I don't know if you're gonna be interested finding out my opinion about these transits, because I know that there are tons of videos out there already about this, but I do have my own weird relationship with Saturn and with Pluto. And I feel especially Saturn energy a lot in this life, and I have felt it in the last 3 years quite a lot. And maybe, you know, something that I can bring to the table is going to be useful to you. So the transit is from March 7th, quite in a few days, and officially until February 13th of 2026, but Saturn will go into Aries and then will retrograde into Pisces one time before then in 2025. So officially we can be looking at its exit out of Pisces in February of 2026. So let's talk about each sign and how it's going to influence each sign. I would like to start with Pisces, because Pisces, you are the start of the show. This is also my ascendant, so it's gonna be an interesting ride to have Saturn on our ascendant, or maybe to have Saturn on our sun, right? So let's start with Pisces, and then we're going to go through each sign. Okay, so Pisces, for you guys, Saturn is about to be done transiting your 12th house, and to me personally, as a Pisces rising, this was one of the most challenging Saturn transits I've ever encountered, and I feel like it's even more difficult to those who have had enough traumas up until this point. You know, when, for example, you are young, like really young, and maybe have not yet experienced different challenges in life. This can be felt as almost the influence isn't as strong with Saturn in the 12th house. However, if you have had some stuff happen in your life, it can be felt in a very strange and difficult way, because it comes up to the surface and you have to deal with it. You have to deal with your demons, you have to deal with your traumas, with any kind of psychological issues that have been dragging from the past. Maybe you felt like you were isolated, whether it's, you know, voluntarily isolation or not, but you definitely were working on something behind the scenes for a while, you know, for the last 3 years. And maybe you tried to get it out there a little bit sooner, you know, for the world to see but Saturn keeps you kind of hidden, you know, and it wants you to focus on the depth behind the scenes. It wants you to focus on your subconscious. It wants you to focus on your traumas, on behind the scenes work, preparations, right, gestational period, rather than shining bright, going out on stage, and so on and so forth. So direction in life could definitely change in the last 3 years, and maybe nobody can quite see it yet, but you know that it's changing, right? And you know exactly where the direction, this new direction is going to take you. So when Saturn transits the first house, this is that time to actually step on the stage, right? And it's not the energy like shining bright, you know, showing all your skills and being this popular person. It's more like being the responsible person, showing off your skills, right? Kind of showing people, showing the society what you can do, how you can hold on to more stability in your life now. And a lot of times this is a professional path, a new professional path, where people possibly work behind the scenes for a while in the 12th house, and then once Saturn moves into the first house, they are ready to charge forward, right? They're ready to kind of get on that serious professional path. And for some Pisces rising, this could be the time for the first in the next 3 years. This can be the time when they can actually enter the very first real career path. Like by real, I mean with the substantial pay, right? With appreciation, with benefits, with a certain, I don't know, amount of hours, some kind of structure, right? This could be the first time, possibly in 30 years, when they can achieve that. On the other hand, you know, for some people, this could be responsibility over family members. For example, you become a parent, right? A lot of times pregnancies and, you know, just expansions in the family happen with a transit of Saturn in the 12th and the first house, right? Because this is when we take on more responsibility, and we also kind of isolate, you know, because it's a very vulnerable, very sensitive part of our life. We want to protect it. We want to be there. We want to be there in every single moment. And yeah, so maybe some Pisces could be becoming parents. Some Pisces could be stepping on the very new, very serious professional path, where this is what's going to be hard about it. You may step on that path, but it's going to be a little bit challenging to maybe keep on that track, keep standing on that path, keep moving on that path, because especially, you know, Saturn in Pisces is the area of life where we kind of are confused about. And in the case of Pisces rising, right, the first house, this is when you're really gonna know 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 2.5 years from now, what you want to be, what kind of identity you want to have, what your role is going to be. There isn't going to be any more confusion about that. And I find that to be really nice for those for like really strong Pisces placements, right? And even when Saturn transits over your sun, wherever your sun in Pisces is, that is a very strong indication of finding your identity. No more wishy-washiness, no more, you know, their boundaries are going to be set. And that's what I find amazing about this transit, but also it is pretty challenging because it is going to be making a square to your 4th house, to your 10th house, to your opposition to your 7th house. So it's going to impact very major areas of your life, your relationships, your home life, your relationship with family, right? Your status, your public image. There will be a lot required from you, and it seems like you will hold a lot of responsibility. So it's always difficult, you know, the more responsibility we gain, the harder it is to kind of hold on to it, right? Sometimes because there's so much pressure. So Pisces is definitely going to be under pressure of responsibility in the next 3 years. And maybe we're ready for it. Who knows? What else can I say? Pisces is going to be able to set up boundaries with their relationships. It is going to be them that have the deciding word, right? It's going to be them that lead the relationship. Possibly it's going to be them that is the person that's able to say yes or no. And overall, I think that Pisces are gonna become more picky, almost not picky, but like more strict with what kind of people come into their life. They're not going to be doing favors, doing so many favors for others, because Pisces struggle a lot with that, you know, and people like to use that to their advantage. Oh, you know, let me ask Pisces to do this and this and this for me. They'll never say no. Well, that is going to change. The pattern is going to change, and I'm excited for it, you know, because as a Pisces rising, unfortunately, I have that trait as well, where, you know, I'm drained of my energy, and yet I'm willing to do something for another person who is not really even that close to me, you know, and that is what's difficult for Pisces with this transit, but at the same time so rewarding to learn how to say no, to prioritize themselves, to prioritize their needs, their energy, their family, whatever this might be, you know. And I'm honestly waiting for this transit. I think that there are some lessons to learn. There are always some lessons to learn with Saturn, right? But at the same time, I think that this is what's going to help all the Pisces that are still confused in their path to actually confirm that, okay, this is no longer needed, or yes, this is my path, and now I'm gonna show what I've got. And it's a great time to show off your skills. It's a great time to start your own business, right? Become that authority, your own authority. It's really nice. There are some challenges that come with it, of course, right? You may feel kind of you may feel lack of energy, possibly. However, I felt dramatic lack of energy with Saturn in my 12th house. I actually think that this might give you more of a boost if you're a Pisces rising, okay? Boost in energy. I think that it's gonna be less energy possibly for Pisces sun, okay? So yeah, that's what I have for you, Pisces, and now moving on to Aries. Hi Aries, I hope that you are doing well. So your Saturn is transiting into your 12th house. I just almost got done with the transit of Saturn in my 12th house. And let me just say that it's not an easy time, but at the same time it's a very rewarding time. And yes, I do believe that, you know, Saturn has more difficult energy in some houses than others. You know, Saturn isn't just this all challenge planet. You know, it definitely intensifies, you know, in certain houses. And unfortunately, maybe fortunately, 12th house is one of them. Pisces is the area of life in our chart, is the sector in our chart where we are possibly the most confused, and this is just how I tend to see the Pisces placement. For you guys, you know, the 12th house, this is a very hidden, very mystical, very unexplainable kind of area of life. If you have had traumas that run deep into your childhood, that have been suppressed, everything that has been suppressed may be coming around to be dealt with now. And it's a very psychologically challenging transit, not so much physical. Physically, for example, it may be a little bit difficult to, for example, lose weight. Physically, you may feel a little bit more lethargic, a little bit more sleepy, more tired. You know, you may have sleep issues, since 12th house is the house of sleep. But most importantly, psychologically, you will be faced with many different challenges that you will have to endure and really work through. I remember as soon as Saturn went into my 12th house, I quit smoking. Vaping, actually. Before that, I vaped, gosh, I don't even know, more than 10 years maybe? And, you know, as soon as, no, a little bit less than that, because vapes were not around, but I smoked for a while, okay? Like, I was a smoker since I was like 17. So, yes, instantly I quit smoking, and it was very, very challenging, but yet it's almost like Saturn is the scanner, you know, once it goes into the house, well, let's say 12th house in your case, right? And it sees, okay, so they've got this bad habit, this bad habit, this bad habit, you know, it instantly removes the most useless, you know, the most, I mean, they're all useless, they are bad habits, but it's easier kind of to just have this transit happen and be able to filter everything that you don't need very quickly. If you've been considering, for example, immigration, this can be the time, and I'm not saying instantly, right, when Saturn goes into Pisces in March, but it will be possibly a good opportunity throughout the next 2.5-3 years to actually immigrate, to finish the immigration process. That's what also happened for me, okay, when Saturn transited my 12th house. Oh my gosh, this hair. This is also the time when you may voluntarily isolate yourself, possibly. I've noticed a very common theme, especially with Aries, if you are Aries rising, okay, having children during this transit, becoming parents, because when you become a parent, you know, the first few years of a child's life, you're really focused on them. You probably always should be focused on them, but you know what I mean. Especially as a mother, you are very attached to your child and you spend a lot of time with them, and you kind of forget your old identity for a little while. Saturn in the 12th house, Saturn in the first house, you know, those can be those voluntarily isolating aspects, transits, I'm sorry, where you may take on a role of a caregiver, or, you know, a parent. And I've seen this theme happen for quite a lot of people, including myself. And overall, I would say that during Saturn in the 12th house, your life isn't necessarily challenging, like your present isn't necessarily crazy or challenging. It's the past that keeps reminding you of itself. Somehow, that's what becomes challenging. It's like all of these suppressed, all of these unsolved traumas, they just keep kind of crippling up, and you know, they bother you in your sleep, and you know, there are certain insights and, you know, possibly very dark thoughts. And yes, that all could be the aftermath of Saturn, but this is why it's there, because it wants you to kind of clean up your brain, clean up your subconscious, so you start with a clean slate. It can be kind of a therapeutic time as well. Sometimes people seek help of psychiatrists, you know, therapists, psychologists, and spiritual healers and things like that. For me, I personally got on a path, a new spiritual path compared to what I was used to in the past, and it became very rewarding to me. Overall, it's a very deep transit, very challenging in one way, but at the same time very rewarding, because something might leave your life, and it might leave your life pretty early on. However, you are faced with a new adventure, with something that is almost, it feels like, out of your league at first, and yet you can continue discovering throughout the transit of Saturn in the 12th house, and you eventually reach the point where you start working on this new beginning behind the scenes. You may be a little bit more hidden during this transit from society, from the eyes of others, from authorities, but at the same time, this time is given so that you can maybe learn some kind of new skills, perfect something. It's a gestational period, right? So you have to work on something almost in private and perfect it, so that when Saturn goes into your first house, and that's gonna happen in 2026, well, officially in 2026, you will know exactly what to do with that energy, and you will be able to apply it in your reality, and you will be able to be seen, and you will be able to be rewarded once Saturn leaves your 12th house. But right now, it's the time to work behind the scenes and perfect something, and possibly even, you know, figure out some kind of a new direction if you're really confused about the other one, the one that you currently have, and start taking baby steps towards making this direction come to reality. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Taurus. Hi Taurus, I hope that you are doing well. For you guys, Saturn is moving into your 11th house, and what a relief that it's leaving your 10th house. And I like the transit of Saturn in the 10th house, but because let's say you are Taurus rising watching this, you may feel quite challenged by this transit because Saturn was squaring your sun, or I'm sorry, was squaring your ascendant these last couple of years. And to be quite frank, you know, I have my sun in Taurus, and even though Saturn was not transiting my 10th house, right, because I have a different ascendant, but it definitely squared my sun, and it was definitely impactful. And I would say that, you know, you probably are coming out of this current transit now with a lot of wisdom, with a lot of experience, with a lot of lessons learned, let's just put it that way. And it could be related to your career, it could be related to your status, your role in this life overall. Maybe you've become a parent in the last couple of years. Maybe you have taken on a role of authority, right? Maybe in your family, maybe possibly at work. You had to really prove yourself at first, and you had to be very responsible. It could be that maybe your status changed. It could be maybe that you got on that very first serious professional path in the last 30 years, right? Maybe you never had a job like that before. Now you did, you know, in the last couple of years, you've established a certain position. But now Saturn is moving into your 11th house. And now it's time to see what kind of rewards, what kind of fruits of your labor you can reap now after the transit of Saturn in the 10th. And I would say that, and I've told the previous two signs about this, that I see the Pisces placement in our charts as the area of life where we are the most confused, right? Because Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and it's very, you know, it's very clear here. For you, 11th house, it could be that you may feel somewhat confused about your social circle and overall your goals for the future. You know, they're kind of wishy-washy. You can't quite pinpoint what exactly you want from a certain project, what exactly you want from a certain friendship, what exactly you want from your future overall. How do you kind of value yourself, right? And what kind of results do you want to achieve from all the hard work? Well, Saturn is going to make sure that you know the answers to these questions in the next 3 years. And I remember when Saturn entered my 11th house, instantly friends that shouldn't have been my friends, they vanished, they were out, literally within like the first couple of months. If friendships are a priority in your life, if there is a strong emphasis on friends, on connections in your life, then it could take longer, you know, to kind of cleanse that friends list, you know. And just like imagine, you know, deleting, removing like followers or whoever, people that you follow on Instagram, for example, right? It's kind of similar a thing that's going to be happening in real life, but it's just not going to be so you know, it's not going to be so easy. Maybe, you know, there may be certain disappointments, possibly there may be certain realizations, right, about what kind of people actually surround you. And I would say that with Saturn being in Pisces, you know, this is about you learning how to set boundaries with your friends. And you know, Taurus rising is a helpful person. Taurus rising is someone that is willing to offer you the best food that they've ever cooked, and you know, the tastiest food and the most amazing drinks, and they're gonna serve the beautiful table for you, and then they're gonna be so generous and give you everything. And in reality, you know, people just love to take advantage of that. And you know, with Pisces 11th house overall, you know, there may be constantly that confusion, you know, is this person actually a friend? Do they really care for me? Or do they care for me because I do things for them, you know, because I'm so generous with them and my time with them? Well, this is where definitely you're gonna set your boundaries. You're gonna learn how to set those boundaries. I'm excited, honestly, you know, about this transit, because yes, it might be difficult, right? And sometimes we may feel like we don't know how to fulfill our responsibilities, right? Because Saturn is still gonna be in Pisces in a pretty weak placement. But at the same time, we're going to also learn over time what we're really worth. When can we say no, or when should we say no, right? Saturn is going to be very strict with Pisces, and it's going to teach it how to set those boundaries. In your case, this is basically people, connections, social circle, right? This could also, by the way, on a good note, on a very positive note, bring you a career online, on social media, on some sort of forums, you know, within the social groups, possibly on the internet, right? Because right now it's just a thing to do. It could be a remote position. It could be possibly some kind of a role of an authority that you may take on, and you are going to be guiding or teaching other people. But it's like you as almost like this instructor, right? And a big audience, like a class maybe that you could teach, right? And so on. Saturn will also really teach you how to have realistic goals, realistic expectations about your future. I have Saturn in my 11th house natally, and I'm one of those people who knows damn well that things don't fall on my lap, and that the results I've always worked for, very slow results, you know, very, very slow. And you know, it's like, well, yes, I could dream about all of these amazing things, but at the same time, Saturn has taught me in the last 34 almost years that I cannot just be unrealistic, right? Because it's gonna slap me. It's not gonna give me what I wish. Because it's Saturn, you know, it makes me want to work, or it makes me work for my results, right? Very hard for my wishes. You know, I cannot have crazy wishes. Like, even you should see my, what are they called? Vision boards from the past. They're like very realistic. And you know, in this case, yes, it might be a similar energy for Taurus, where they're like, okay, so, you know, I'm not gonna get, I don't know, I'm not gonna get a Mercedes this year, but I can work towards this car instead, right? Or I'm not going to maybe buy a house in, I don't know, in New York City, but I am going to buy a house somewhere in White Plains. I don't know, you know, that's just kind of an example, you know. It's a realistic goal. You're gonna have realistic goals that are going to guide you, that are going to help you, and you are going to achieve some really good things towards the end of this transit. Pregnancy can happen as well, because the 11th house opposes 5th house. 5th house is children. So sometimes when we have a transit of Saturn in the 11th house, it is that responsibility that comes because children arrive in our life, and we take that responsibility, and maybe it does kind of detach us from the wishes and dreams that we have had prior, but now we're gonna build new dreams and wishes because now we have, for example, a family coming. Okay, so that's obviously not for everyone. This is just my take on this transit, and based on the experience of mine, my clients, my friends, and so on. So thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Gemini. Hi Gemini, I hope that you are doing well. And for you, Saturn is entering your 10th house. I was just talking to Taurus about this. You know, they are completing their transit in the 10th house. And what can I say? This time, between March of 2023 through February of 2026, you could find yourself in a position that you've never been in before when it comes to your career. This could be, especially for younger people maybe, this could be the time of that first real career. And Gemini rising especially. And it's exciting because yes, it's going to be a challenge. You know, you're gonna be asked of, like, a lot is gonna be asked of you, and you're going to have to learn how to keep that position. You know, you may get that position, but then you're like, well, I still have to somehow stay there, right? So you're going to be possibly learning throughout these next couple of years, 3 years, on how to secure that position in society, how to secure that career path, how to secure that role, that status that you were given, are gonna be given possibly. And, you know, for a lot of people, this is a legitimate career path with like benefits, with a really good fair pay, right? With really good compensation and so on. So this is, you know, this is a nice time, but at the same time, you know, Saturn is very strict. It's willing to reward you, but only if you're working hard, if you're actually taking everything serious. So of course, Gemini has to be laser focused on career in the next 3 years and to make sure that they are never lazy and are always realistic and are always continuing to do more for their path. Now, if you're not interested in career and you're like, well, I don't really see how, or maybe you're retired, for example, and you're like, I don't really see how this could impact me about my career, right? So I would say that this transit can actually suggest a new role in society. It could be in your family, it could be in your town, in your community, and this role is more of a authority role. So you may have to take responsibility over someone here. You could almost become, you know, 10th and 4th houses are houses of parents, and you could become a parent quite literally, or you could become almost like a caregiver, like a parent to someone else. You know, you may be guiding someone, you may be teaching someone, you may be responsible for their lives somehow, responsible for their well-being, responsible financially for someone. So that is the time to really grow up, right? To really grow up. I had a major status change during this transit, but it was an immigration status change, and I also actually, I did start my online business then as well. Yeah, I did. So, you know, directions have changed, and at first I worked at a job that I kind of hated, and then I just switched to like my own thing, you know. And yes, it could be that maybe you will take on a couple paths in your career in the next 3 years, but at the same time you will end up with the one that you're gonna like the most, that is going to make the most sense, and it's going to, this experience is going to teach you how to really work hard, how to really keep the position, how to make sure that you have enough, right? And yeah, I think that it's gonna be good, you know, because as of right now, Saturn was transiting your 9th house, and maybe it has already changed your direction somehow, your purpose, your life direction. You were possibly focused on something completely different, and Saturn in the 9th house gave you this aha moment that, oh wait, maybe I should explore more. Maybe I should actually, you know, figure out that there are more horizons in front of me that I could pursue, and maybe they're more realistic, or maybe they are, maybe they just fit my lifestyle more. And, you know, sometimes people travel or immigrate, I should say, with the Saturn in the 9th house, and then in the 10th house they kind of secure their immigration status. That could also happen. Overall, you know, like I've been telling the signs, Pisces placement in our chart is where we are the most confused based on my view of it. And in your case, it's the house of career, and it's not that you're constantly confused, you know. It's just that you may possibly be trying all these different things in life. You know, what could really make you the most stable, or the most satisfied, the most content with your career path, with your role in this life. And Saturn will make sure to secure it for the next 30 years, where you are going to know where exactly you should be headed. It's going to remove the disillusionment, I can pronounce it. It will, you know, the boundaries that are non-existent in the 10th house, where maybe you overwork constantly, maybe you it's hard for you to say no to the authorities, to management. Maybe you have issues with authorities somehow. Maybe you're working multiple jobs, but you cannot quite find the one, right? There will no longer be that issue with lack of boundaries. You will be able to say no. You will be able to start appreciating your time off. You will be able to possibly go for a job that compensates you better, more, that gives you more benefits. You will definitely become very clear on your professional path and how you see it and what you want to have in the future. So, challenging kind of in one way, right? Because you have to work hard and you have to be responsible and you have to secure that position. And the challenging situations will be happening, you know, when you really have to defend yourself, right? But at the same time, I think you will do just fine, especially if you are laser focused. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Cancer. Hi Cancer, I hope that you are doing well. And for you, Saturn is entering your 9th house in March. Well, currently it's transiting your 8th house and it's almost done there. So I would say that, you know, Saturn in the 8th house is not that crazy. However, it could potentially, for some people, if they didn't really have a great relationship with their marriage partner, it could have potentially brought them a divorce, split of assets, right? Possibly you had to really divide your financial responsibilities somehow in the last couple of years, and you may have had to either stop relying on someone else or actually take on the role of this authority that someone can rely on you. Or maybe you said no to someone that tried to rely on you. And because, you know, Saturn teaches us how to say no. And I would say that Pisces, wherever the sign of Pisces is in our charts, this is the area of life that we are kind of confused about, you know, and of course I'm generalizing right now, right? It's not, Pisces doesn't just rule that, but it's Neptunian, and there's lack of boundaries in that area, and there is for the most part possibly confusion in that area. How, for example, Pisces rising has a hard time understanding what they want to be, who they are, right? They're constantly searching for their identity, and that you know, is kind of a similar impact, to be honest with you, for Cancer rising, because with Saturn in the 9th house, this is our path, this is our horizons, our directions, you know. You could get a very realistic view on your future. You could choose a very realistic direction where you want to take your life further, where you want to take your adventures further, and this can be a time where you're like, okay, so let's be realistic here. Okay, I'm not going to move to Bali, right, for 3 years. I'm going to stay in Alabama, and I'm going to save up money, and then I'm going to come up with a better plan, for example. I'm not saying that if you've planned to travel, or if you've planned to possibly immigrate, right, that it's not going to happen. No, it actually could happen. You could gather all the right paperwork, you could create a really good plan, and you could make all those things achievable. The only thing is that if you want to travel for fun, that can be a little bit challenging, because Saturn is the planet of work. So even if you travel, even if you go abroad for long periods of time, you may have to work from there, you may have to kind of keep a schedule going still, and you know, this is the downside, I would say. However, Saturn brings very realistic goals in terms of where you need to be, what you need to study, for example, what you need to learn, right? Because Saturn really likes us to do something repetitive, you know, over and over and over again. And in your case, it could be education. You could go back to school, possibly, because you have this plan in mind. And this plan could really keep your interest for the next couple of years, and you will want to achieve it through maybe gathering more resources, getting more education possibly. You may want to kind of expand your knowledge, your wisdom overall, because you want to be, for example, a better professional. Or maybe because you want to understand for yourself where you need to be, and in order to understand, you need to try, right? In order to try, you need a certain set of skills, for example. And that's what you're going to be possibly focused on. There's a lot of learning through experiences, learning through life, and learning through school that can happen during this transit. You may feel like your views are changing, your belief systems are changing as well. And Saturn usually is like harsh, you know, it's like, oh, is that what you believed in? I'm gonna show you otherwise. And it's not about breaking somebody's trust in the religious system, right? Or spirituality or anything like that. No, I think it's more about how you can actually apply your beliefs in life, and how you can maybe go on about life having those beliefs. And you know, I think that a lot of people could actually find disappointment possibly in what they are currently involved in. However, at the same time, they gain something that is a very long-lasting belief, very long-lasting and very helpful to them. And they come to it over time. It's not instant, it's not overnight. They come to it through their life experiences. You could meet a mentor during this time, and it's someone that is usually older than you, for example, someone that either maybe has more experience, right? They are somehow, it's like you look up to them. And through that connection, you could, again, help yourself to figure out which path you need to be on. You can really make things work for yourself, and through these mentorships, through these different connections. Legal cases can also be a thing here. You could start working on the legal case. You could possibly establish something through a legal case, okay? There's a lot of paperwork that may be involved here. And overall, it's a process that wants to perfect this legal situation for you and have it done right. So every time Saturn transits the area where we have to deal with paperwork, it can become quite challenging, but at the same time, you will understand by the end of it that now you're so much more organized. Now you have a paper for absolutely every, step of the way, and you're so confident in your case, right, and what you can present, because you've gathered all the resources, you've done a lot of work here, and that's what Saturn wants, to kind of prepare you for something, to perfect what you are doing. And another thing with Saturn in the 9th, I feel like maybe the confusion regarding what to believe in, right? The confusion regarding what direction to take, what country to move to, what to do regarding a legal case, to file or not to file. All of those confusions are going to be done and gone, okay, with the transit of Saturn in your 9th house. But overall, it is going to make a trine to you, to your ascendant, or to your sun. So I think that you are supported, a lot more supported than other signs, and you're able to achieve a lot more, not a lot more than others, no, because everybody's gonna have a chance, but you're gonna be a little bit favored, I guess, a little bit more favored than others, which I find to be awesome for Cancers. Thank you guys so much for watching. Now we're moving on to Leo. Hi Leo, I hope that you are doing well. So for you, the hell is ending. Saturn is leaving your 7th house, which in the 7th house, I don't really think it's as challenging as you know, some other placements, but yet still Saturn was making an opposition to your ascendant for quite some time now, and you were definitely questioning what kind of relationships should be in your life, what kind shouldn't be. Maybe you met someone that is older than you, like a marriage partner, for example, someone that's older than you, someone that you look up to, and you have created a very strong bond. Or maybe you have left a partnership, right? Because you just couldn't resonate with it anymore, and a person really showed their true colors in the last couple of years. I feel like also maybe contracts that were really, really serious, you know, the contracts that were meant to be in your life, they entered your life and you were able to keep them. But the ones that no longer served you, they are gone now. And maybe it was challenging to let them go at first, but everything happened for a reason, Leo. So now you have Saturn entering the 8th house. So for example, if in the last 2-3 years you got married, for example, you started living with someone, you've established a family with someone, then now it's like the continuation of the transit of Saturn in the 7th house, where, for example, you get serious with your mutual resources, you start investing as a couple together, you start kind of splitting the assets, you know, gathering enough resources to make something happen. Like, for example, you are trying to buy a house together, you're trying to move, you are saving money together, right? You are creating all the mutual bank accounts, and you have a separate bank account for your child now. Just an example. So this could be possibly a theme, you know, this could be a theme where, yes, in the next 3 years, you're going to get very established in terms of resources. You're going to have that structure where what is, who it belongs to, this is the college investment, this is the stocks investment, this is the mortgage, whatever it is, right? You are going to be preoccupied with that. And what I like about this transit is that Saturn is going to teach you how to manage those resources, right? It's going to teach you how to invest right, how to use the resources that are given to you by others, how to be careful. And yes, it can sometimes happen through challenging situations, right? Because that's how we learn. We learn while making mistakes a lot of times. And another thing of Saturn here is that it can, the life of your marriage partner, or maybe not like a legal marriage, right? But for example, someone that you live with, their life is going to be under the radar of Saturn for the next 3 years or so. And it's going to be the time when this person is going to really learn how to earn money. And maybe something that they're involved in financially right now may not quite be what they are going to continue doing 3 years from now. It may be a temporary thing that will be out of their life pretty fast if, you know, Saturn decides that it's no longer serving them. And they may undergo an interesting professional journey for the next 3 years, where they are finding a career path that is actually good for them, the career path that, you know, compensates well and gives them the benefits that they need, and so on and so forth. So, you know, in this case, yes, I believe that, and I'm literally like almost forgetting what I was talking about. Okay, so yes, you know, that can be kind of a challenging time because you have to witness that, but at the same time, it is also a time where you are going to watch them transform, right? Watch them transform their financial situation, become such a grown-up, you know, that maybe they quite weren't before. And on the other hand, if you have had a tough relationship with Saturn in the 7th house, if you felt like you needed to let go, still haven't let go, Saturn in the 8th usually finishes all of those, all that business, you know, unfinished business that has not been done since the transit in the 7th house. Now it's the time to finish it as well. Psychologically, Saturn is going to be working on you similarly as Saturn in the 12th house. 12th house, I believe, is harsher, but in the 8th house, this is the energy of you kind of digging through your past, maybe finally allowing yourself to say, okay, I think I do have some problems, and I should talk to someone about it. And it could maybe sometimes hurt your pride, or it could sometimes make you feel vulnerable and you don't want to, but yet it's very important for your evolution, for your growth, for your spiritual, mental, emotional health to get that help, to get possibly therapy, for example, to work maybe with a spiritual healer, to find a path that is going to be really yours, right? And I found a path like that, you know, that tremendously helped me mentally and emotionally and spiritually. But I've been, you know, spiritual for a very long time at this point, and this wasn't like new to me, you know, but still, it's for everyone, you know, there is the first time for everything. And this could be that you will finally, not maybe finally, right, but you could start taking your mental health much more seriously than you used to, and that can be a very beneficial. But Saturn tends to challenge us, right, so that we do go and seek that help. So it could be bringing up different traumatic experiences from the past to face now, right, to kind of deal with them now. And that could be the challenge of it. But overall, I think it's a time for growth. It's time for a transformation. It's time to learn how to value yourself. Time to maybe get serious with your resources and possibly even get more resources that you can use to invest. Because let's say if you are struggling right now financially, what is there going to be to invest, right? So Saturn will make sure that you have something to work with and you have something to invest. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Virgo. Hi Virgo, I hope that you are doing well, and your Saturn, or I should say your transit of Saturn is happening in the 7th house. So as of right now, Saturn is completing its transit in your 6th house of work, and oh boy, you know, my husband is a Virgo rising, and his professional journeys for the last 3 years, 2.5, have been amazing, you know, have been quite challenging. And you maybe dealt with a lot of difficulties at your workplace, right? Maybe you didn't get along with the workplace overall. Maybe you didn't get along with managers or authorities there, or maybe you got along with everybody, but the job just wasn't compensating well enough. Maybe just you weren't treated how you should be for the skills that you have, for the efforts that you put into your work, right? It could have been a very challenging routine overall, lots of work, maybe for some, not enough result, right? Maybe for others enough result, but exhaustion, you know, that could be taking a toll on you physically, on your health. And there could be maybe a crazy routine where you had to work most of the time and you couldn't really catch a break. Or maybe you've changed multiple jobs in the last 3 years, 2.5 or so. Maybe you thought this is it, you know, at the start of the transit of Saturn there, you know, or maybe even when Saturn was still in your 5th house, you were like, this is it, this is my career path, you know, this is where I'm going to be, this is where I see myself. But in reality, it was not the case. It was something that kind of died down maybe very quickly. Possibly you've experienced all of those things, but now it is the time to sign some real contracts, to get on the path with the right people, with the right group of people that, you know, one-on-one relationships, business partnerships that can actually help you make your dreams come true, professionally and personally. Maybe you didn't have so much time to date in the last couple of years. I say couple, but you know what I mean is the whole transit of Saturn in Aquarius. So maybe you didn't have so much time to date, right? Because you were so occupied with work, you know, maybe work was absolutely crazy. But now, when Saturn is entering your 7th house, you could meet someone, and maybe down the line, maybe not instantly, right? But this someone is wise, possibly older than you, possibly someone that you look up to, right? And they've got a lot of life experience. But also, you know, the relationship will become serious very quickly, because with Saturn in the 7th, This person will want something really serious from you and with you, and you will have to kind of catch up. You know, for example, this person will want kids in the next couple of years, and you will need to kind of catch up to that idea that, oh, I see this person is serious, you know, and they want stability from the relationship, and they want a family, so I should be able to provide, you know, that. Obviously, that's if you really click with the person, because Saturn in the 7th house can also bring you unfortunate romantic experiences where you really have to be more picky. And I'm not saying you aren't. What I mean is that you really have to be more strict with what kind of people you go for, because Pisces, in my personal opinion, is the area in our chart, right? Wherever we have the Pisces sign is the area in our charts that is the most confusing to us throughout life. And in your case, this is your relationships. In your case, this is what kind of partner you want to see next to yourself. You could feel maybe very confused about the type of who you want to be with, or how you want to be treated, or what you will allow the person, you know, to do in the relationship, how you want to be treated. And this is that transit that will show you all the cards. You may feel like in a relationship you always have to do favors for the person. You always have to make sure that they're happy, that they're satisfied, that they're content. However, Saturn there will be like, wait a moment, what about you? You know, what about you? What has this person done for you? And this is why it's going to be, on one hand, challenging, but on the other hand, you're going to really you're going to find a relationship, or you're going to establish a relationship with someone maybe that's already in your life, that is going to be, yes, serious, that is going to demand some responsibility, yes, but at the same time it's going to be legit. It's going to be you learning how to say no. It's going to be you learning how to set those boundaries with the closest people to you, and it's going to be bringing people into your life that respect those boundaries. And I find this to be a very, very powerful time. Now, when it comes to professional direction, of course, you know, with Saturn in the 7th, contracts that are professional are going to be coming around, and they could now be very real. See, the thing is, with Saturn, wherever it transits, if it kind of touches on professional direction, it can reward you. It can reward you with something absolutely beautiful, you know, very stable, very secure, but you also have to show that you are reliable and that you can keep that position, right? And that can be sometimes a challenge with Saturn, that, you know, it can kind of try and push you off your track a little bit just to see how hard you're willing to work for this. And I know it sucks, but at the same time, this is how we become disciplined, and this is how we become amazing professionals, you know, in whatever field we're in. So that could be the time of proving yourself to others, proving yourself through business, proving yourself through some kind of a career path, that you are reliable, that you're disciplined, and that you are a true professional. When it comes to legal stuff as well, this could be the time when you decide to file some sort of a legal case, and it could be, for example, between you and your marriage partner. For example, you will decide to create some sort of like a legal situation together. I don't know. My example, probably the only example that I can think of, would maybe be, for example, an immigration case where two people are involved, right? Or, for example, this could be not even a legal case that two people are involved in, but some kind of a business proposition, you know, some kind of a goal where two people are investing equally and two people are interested equally in how this can play out, right? And it could be, for example, you starting to work together with your partner, you starting a family with a partner, right? Because it requires responsibility from both sides, and so on. So I believe it's a rewarding transit, as long as you don't just relax, you know, as long as you learn how to say no, you set your boundaries, and you work really hard towards your goals. But thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Libra. Hi Libra, I hope that you are doing well. So Saturn is transiting your 6th house. starting March. And as of right now, it's finishing its course in your 5th house. So I would say that, you know, in the last couple of years, this wasn't so bad, right? Even though Saturn had its challenges with Uranus and stuff, but as for you, you know, especially if you're a Libra rising, I think it was not really that hardcore. Yes, it could have possibly brought a child into your life. It could have brought a family into your life. It could have kind of snapped that lighthearted, you know, no responsibility, worry-free. I can't come up with words for some reason right now. Like a worry-free lifestyle, you know, when you're not responsible for anything. If you even had that happening at all, could have snapped that and thrown it out of the window because it gave you a responsibility. It could have been, for example, your business that became your responsibility, or it could have been a real child that has become your responsibility, or maybe it could have brought you possibly a certain role, certain position in your company, for example, like you became in some sort of a management authority position, and you really needed to keep up the image, right? And you needed to kind of keep up the work. And it could be that possibly you have sometimes felt that you didn't have so much fun anymore in life. You didn't have so much free time anymore. That from this kind of worry-free kind of lifestyle, your life turned into this really busy, really serious, really responsible and disciplined kind of lifestyle. So that could have been the case. But now Saturn is entering your 6th house, and it is the time to to work hard, okay? And I'm laughing because my husband just had it in the 6th house, and boy, his journey was interesting in the 6th house. You know, it's sometimes like you're like, this is it. This is the career opportunity that I've always wanted, and I'm going to establish my stay there. Sometimes with Saturn in the 6th, it may not be the case. It may actually take you somewhere else and establish your professionalism in a different company, for example, in a different field. Maybe you think you want to work for a company, but you'll end up self-employed after all of this, you know? Maybe you're going to leave the company that you currently work for because you're going to realize that, you know, the people that you're working with, it's not a healthy dynamic at work, you know, they're a lot of gossipers, or people are just willing to step on each other's necks, and you know, you could really come to a lot of realizations in the next couple of years what this workplace is all about, and you're going to really want to work on towards something that gives you stability, that gives you fair compensation, that gives you benefits, that gives you a feeling of being heard, being respected, and being rewarded, right? Appreciated for your efforts. And it could be a journey, right? It could be a journey. There could be many attempts. There could be a couple companies. There could be a couple places where you could find yourself. So it may not just be you know, it may not just be one specific workplace. Saturn could take you places. Saturn could show you that, you know, there are other skills that you could use. There are other opportunities in terms of career, and so on. Now, you may find yourself being busy throughout this transit, and watch out, because that could kind of take a toll on your health, on your physical health, on your sleep, okay, on your mental state as well, because there will be a lot happening in regards to leveling up, right, and kind of building that image and building that path, where you may not quite have a lot of time for yourself, you know, to really take care of your health. So I would say that please watch out. And to be honest with you, you know, Saturn in the 6th, it does bring up, you know, certain health concerns. If they're really that serious to you, you know, it does bring them up for you to face them, for you to finally deal with them once and for all. So I cannot say that, you know, there will be absolutely nothing connected to health and only to work. No, I'm sure that there will be something connected to health where you're going to make sure that you are good to go and that you can keep up with this schedule totally healthy. But thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Scorpio. Hi Scorpio, I hope that you're doing well. And Saturn just left your 4th house, or is about to, I should say. And that is going to be a relief, I would say. That is going to be a relief, because Saturn in the 4th house can sometimes really pressure you to work through issues with your family. And sometimes these are not the most pleasant conversations. These are not the most pleasant situations, right? Saturn in the 4th house can make you question your own family that you may have, right? Like, for example, your wife, your husband, your children. Like, how is the dynamic there? You know, is everything good or not? Saturn in the 4th house could possibly bring you, for example, a new addition to your family, right? So you became even more responsible for your family than you used to be. It could also bring you a work from home, like a job from home. For example, you decided that, you know, I want to put my time into more use while I'm home. I want to do something more productive. And you could be that maybe you decided to start working from home somehow. It's like work became your home, or home became your work, I should say, kind of, right? There could be a property that you may have purchased in the last couple of years. There could have been a property that you may have sold. There may have been possibly a challenging situation in one of your parents' lives, or maybe a connection between you and them, right? So there could maybe be a resolution of a conflict, or maybe a conflict did arise somehow in the last couple of years. But overall, I think that Saturn was changing you at your core, right? The 4th house is our core, and you really grew up in some way in the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years. I'm just saying 2 years, 3 years. I'm just not specifying. What I mean is the whole transit of Saturn in Aquarius. You somehow grew up. You somehow became more responsible. You became more serious. You're just no longer viewing the world the same way. You know, you are more responsible, you're more reliable, you're more disciplined with yourself. And it could be that that discipline came from your home, the place where you're supposed to relax. But you realize that you can't, that you have things to do, that you have things to be responsible for, that you have people that rely on you, and you changed your situation possibly. And now Saturn is moving into your 5th house. So, like I've told the previous signs, I see Pisces area of life, wherever Pisces is in our charts, as the area of life that is the most confusing to us throughout life, you know, because it's ruled by Neptune. And Saturn in the 5th house here suggests that, well, you may be confused about the direction that you want to go in. For example, with your work, right? Do you want to work for someone else, or do you maybe want to start something of your own? Confusion regarding whether or not you want children in this lifetime. Confusion regarding what kind of romantic partners you are willing to have in your life, right? So what kind of partners are you willing to engage with? Well, Saturn is here as like a, you know, like a dumping cold iced water on somebody, and that is definitely going to be all decided. You are going to find all the answers to these questions. So regarding confusion about whether or not you want children, that is going to be that is going to be very specific too. You know, if, for example, if stars align in a way that you're supposed to have your own child, right? That you're supposed to have a child in the next 3 years, it will happen. It will happen. And you will adjust to that lifestyle accordingly. When it comes to work, for example, if you're meant to have your own business, for example, right? Or you're meant to be doing something very productive with your time, with your creativity, turn creativity into a source of income, it will happen. If you are very confused about your about your love life, it will also be all sorted out. And yes, 5th house is a house of fun and joy and lightheartedness, worry-free. with Saturn there, it's not going to be worry-free anymore. But it's not because something bad is going to happen. It's because, like I just told the previous sign, like that worry-free lifestyle is gonna be like snapped in half, because there will be a responsibility that comes up, and you will be giving all of your time and energy to this responsibility. For some, it is work, career path, business. For others, this is a child, right? For others, this might be some sort of a relationship, some kind of a responsibility here that will be occupying a lot of your time, and you will be a lot more serious here. I feel like with Saturn in the 5th house, people have a hard time expressing themselves, but at the same time, this is what's going to teach you. You know, it's going to teach you how to express yourself at work, how to express yourself in relationships. Not saying it's going to be easy, right? Because there may be instances where things can get really hard. You know, things can get challenging, where you may have to say goodbye to a certain romantic partner because they don't freaking know their boundaries, right? And Pisces, and you may be able to set your own boundaries. You may be able to learn how to say no. You may be able to turn your creativity into something that you can make money off of. You will be able to say goodbye to the company that doesn't treat you well and go and start your own thing. Yes, you will be able to do all of those things, and through challenge, yes, but this is a very good transit, guys, because whether you are Scorpio rising or Scorpio sun, it will make a trine to your placement. So the more stuff you have going on in Scorpio, the better. And I think that this is gonna be the time to only secure that seriousness that the 4th house Saturn gave you, and to put it into the right outlets, right? So thank you guys so much for watching, and now I'm moving on to Sagittarius. Hi Sagittarius, I hope that you're doing well. Let's talk about Saturn. It's your time now. It's your time to experience all of these different dimensions of Saturn in a very important area of your chart, which is the 4th house. So Saturn was in your 3rd house in the last couple of years in Aquarius, and it possibly excited you in a way where you knew you needed to gather more resources, you needed to gather more knowledge, gather a certain skill set to be able to make progress somewhere. And for the last 3 years, you could have taken a bunch of courses. For example, you could have possibly started teaching yourself, or maybe became a student, right? You have possibly tried to break through your comfort zone and maybe socialize with people a lot more, and, you know, try to kind of find a group of people, a community possibly, where you felt like you could learn something, take something out of. And maybe you've engaged in, for example, writing a book, creating a website, you know, starting your own business or something like that, working online, having a remote job, for example, like an online job. Maybe you decided to learn tech in the last 3 years. There could be, you know, a lot of things possibly that have occurred. And overall, I think that as of right now, now that Saturn is entering your 4th house, you feel a lot more like educated, kind of. You feel like you have gathered enough knowledge, possibly, and that you're ready to apply it, possibly. So I feel like 4th house Saturn is the time where your core is going to be touched. And this is when you're gonna get really serious and disciplined at your core. And Pisces, in my view, is rules the area of chart in our life, rules the house in our charts that is the most confusing. It's like the most confusing area of life for us. That's kind of how I view Pisces placements, right? And in your case, this is the 4th house, house of home and family. So it could be that maybe you always question yourself at your core. who you are, who you want to be, you know, what is that true personality hiding there behind that, you know, Sagittarius rising and maybe, you know, whatever your sun is. And this is more specific for Sagittarius rising right now. You might be always questioning, like, who really am I? And what can I really do in this life? And I feel like with the transit of Saturn over, especially your IC, eventually, right? For everybody, it's a different degree. But you will be able to find the answers to those questions. You will get more disciplined. You will get more professional almost. It could be that maybe for the next 3 years, you're going to be like, all right, I've learned enough. Now I'm going to apply it. I'm going to start working from home. I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to start a blog. I'm going to, I don't know, start real estate, right? It could be a lot of times Saturn in the 4th house turns you into a great real estate agent. And you could really be dealing with property a lot. You could be, for example, for some, not for everybody, but flipping houses, you know, finding these really old rusty houses and remodeling them and possibly reselling them, right? It could be that maybe there is a major remodeling project that may be coming up, and that's what you could be focused on for the next 3 years. Not without a challenge, right? Because a lot of resources go into that, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort goes into that remodeling project, but yet you're all in it. Maybe you're building a house in the next 3 years. Like I said already, maybe working from home. Your parents might need your attention, okay? They may need your attention in a way where maybe there is a certain conflict that needs to be resolved between you and family members. Maybe the conflict may arise. Okay, maybe the relationship dynamic with your parents, they may start viewing you as someone a lot more responsible than you used to be. It doesn't matter even how old you are. They're going to be like, wow, you know, they really truly kind of got a hang of things and became really reliable, or more reliable, right? More responsible. And I feel like you could really start taking care of one of your parents. For example, they used to help you, you know, for a very long time. And now it's your turn to help them, you know, to become that person that they can rely on, for example. This also is a transit where, you know, sometimes you may feel like your home is not quite your home, it's more like your workspace. And again, that kind of applies to those that want to, for example, turn their home into an office, right? And it's like, my work is my home and my home is my work. And yes, you know, on more of a darker side, in a life of one of your parents, maybe a challenging situation could occur, right? But it can also, by the way, suggest that you may start your own family and you may become responsible over your family more, because there might be an addition to your family. You know, that can also be the case, and you will feel like you need to be more reliable, that you need to be more responsible, that there is still that discipline to be learned. And it's not necessarily the most cheery time. You know, Saturn over your IC, it can help you move, right? It can help you build a home. It can help you move out on your own, for example, if you're still living with your parents. But it can sometimes also cause challenging situations where, for example, you know, you live with a romantic partner, things don't work out, and you move back in with your parents, and then they're like, all right, time to come up with a plan. For everyone, you know, different age groups, it's going to be different, a different scenario, but every single time it will be coming back to that core, you know, and no matter what kind of situations Saturn might be bringing you in the 4th house, coming back to the core and kind of growing up and manning up and understanding that once you come out of that transit in 2026, you are a new person, you are much more responsible, you are much more disciplined, you have set your boundaries, right? You have set boundaries in terms of work, home life. You may have set boundaries with your family members, possibly, right? If some people have tension there, you will definitely know exactly what to do in all of those situations. So thank you guys so much for watching, and now moving on to Capricorn. Hi Capricorn, I hope that you're doing well. So For you guys, Saturn is entering the 3rd house, and it is just completing its transit in the 2nd house. So maybe in the last couple of years, you may have noticed that your financial income either decreased or increased, right? And that was due to Saturn's influence, where it really wanted you to find out, to figure out, maybe through challenges, what exactly you're worth, what your values are, and how you're ready to go after those values. You know, if you needed to come up with resources for a certain venture, Saturn helped you with that, but it could also made it harder. You know, it could have been a much easier transition, but yet it made it much harder to obtain those opportunities, because it always never wants us to take the easy way out for some reason, right? And it wants us to work hard for our money, to work hard for our values. So you could have worked really hard in the last 3 years, and now it's time that you advance a little bit more in what you are already doing. 3rd house can sometimes suggest some sort of a community of people, like a social life, basically similar to 11th house, but a little different. So it could be that Saturn may bring a very serious, important connection into your life in the next 3 years. It is someone that's possibly older than you, or someone that you may look up to. It is a person that is similar to a mentor, someone that can help you along your path, but also someone that can kind of challenge you. It could quite literally be a teacher, an instructor. You may start gathering more skills, like learning more skills, because there is something here that you want to advance in. And it can happen very well with the help of Saturn in the 3rd house. You could start learning, like I said, a new skill, maybe go back to school, maybe take a few courses, maybe start learning a new language, or a new programming language in my case. It could be, you know, possibly a lot of interactions with people from a very narrow field, and learning from them, learning a lot. And I'm not gonna say that it's easy, right? Because for some people, they may feel like with Saturn in the 3rd house, the mental work is kind of slowing down a little bit. It's like hard to retain information, hard to remember everything, hard to just find time, you know, find time to study and things like that. But I think that's the challenge of Saturn here, to be able to keep up with the busy life and to learn something at the same time, you know, to kind of give your time to something else here that is just as important. It might be education, right? It might be, for example, you learning how to build websites, for example, for your business, and now you're going to try and kind of get there, you know, baby steps, like starting a business, creating some sort of a structure for your business, creating a blog, right, writing a book, maybe you know, if you needed to publish something, most likely book publishing will happen in the next 2.5 years for you. I don't doubt that, actually. So I would say that for those that are not interested in learning any skills, but maybe interested in getting out there a little bit more and socializing, Saturn can make it a little awkward at first, but at the same time, it teaches you how to interact with people in the maybe more professional way, or maybe for the networking purpose, or maybe, you know, what kind of people you may have around you. Because Pisces, to me, how I view it, Pisces sector in our charts is the sector where we are the most confused throughout life, right? And in your case, it's the 3rd house Pisces occupies. So it's matters of education, matters of, you know, how you think. Maybe you think in a little bit more Piscean way rather than somebody else, for example. And maybe you feel like sometimes your thoughts aren't so rational, right? They're more intuitive because of the 3rd house Pisces. Maybe you feel like the community that you surround yourself with, they are a little, you know, wishy-washy, like maybe they don't know their boundaries with you. This is the time to really get it straight. You know, this is the time to have a very specific plan in your mind, what you want to learn, what do you want to be known for, what kind of skill set. This is gonna be the time, like, okay, are you writing your book or not? You are, maybe, right? Most likely you are. Or maybe changing the niche, okay? This can also be the case. Like, for example, you used to write about one thing, now you're gonna be writing about another. You're gonna have a more kind of like a structured approach towards it, more logical. Community is sucking all of your energy. Well, okay, you're going to probably learn how to say no and how to protect yourself energetically from this community of people. I find this to be a rewarding time. I find this to be a time where you can learn a lot, where you can apply all of this knowledge in your professional, on your professional path, possibly when you're in your own business, if that's something that interests you as well, and any kind of hobbies. This is going to be a good time. You're going to learn a lot. Your mind is going to be sharper. You're going to be maybe even more logical about certain situations that you allowed to slide in the past. Okay, so that's important. But thank you guys so much for watching, and now we're moving on to Aquarius. Hi Aquarius, I hope that you are doing well. My dear Aquarius, I want to give you a hug. I do, because whether you are an Aquarius rising or Aquarius sun, you have had Saturn in the first house. And, on one hand, it's a good transit sometimes, especially for those that really need it, really have been slacking. But for all of you, I feel like it was slightly more challenging than it could be, because of the influence of Saturn and Uranus, with the square between the two. Saturn kind of struggled, it had this set goal and it wanted to perfect something, and Uranus kept distracting it and kind of, throwing obstacles in its way, and maybe it made the process a little bit more frustrating and more challenging unnecessarily, kind of. So now that Saturn is leaving the first house, it has made you a new person. And if you don't quite feel it yet, well, you will definitely feel it soon, because with the challenges that you may have been given, with the responsibilities that you may have been given, you were like, well, some of these things I simply could not avoid. I could not escape. And yes, if it's a health issue, it's in your face and there is nothing you can do. You have to fight it. You have to really learn how to cope with it. You have to really prioritize, right? If this is a relationship issue, it was also in your face. It was not going anywhere. And I believe that this was a tough time, but at the same time, very rewarding time, because Aquarius learned how to set those boundaries. And now Saturn is moving into the second house, right? And I've told all of the previous signs that I consider Pisces placement in our charts to be the kind of area of life where we are the most confused throughout life, forever. And in your case, this is the financial sector if you are Aquarius rising. And within that financial sector, there may always be some sort of wishy-washiness, never a specific path how to maybe make money, never a specific number, never a specific way of how to make money. Or maybe you're always doubting yourself, you're always doubting that this is the path that you should be on. Or maybe you're doubting, like whether or not this is what's meant to be. Maybe also it could be that your self-respect, that your values, or how you value yourself, may be kind of questionable. Maybe you don't really know who you actually are, and that's why you have a hard time valuing yourself, right? Because Pisces, Neptunian energy, it creates this uncertainty. And it's like, well, I think I respect myself, I think I value myself, but then when the situation comes around that challenges that, a person realizes that no, maybe not so much, maybe they were confused again, maybe they've chosen wrong again. And this transit can help you really find out who you are, how you value yourself. It's going to make things more specific. So if you are in the area of work that, you're making money, right? But at the same time, if this isn't the area that is meant to be there, things are gonna change at the workplace. Things are gonna change in a way where not only that you're gonna set boundaries and you're gonna stop saying no possibly to the management, to the authorities, right? Because you are gonna start valuing your time more, your effort, your energy. But also, if things are going off, things are going wrong, this may be a chance that you may actually change career paths, where you are going to find the place that rewards you, respects you, appreciates you. And but also sometimes it's about defending yourself at the current position so that things change there, you know, not necessarily running away to a different position, different company. It's more like defending yourself and being able to obtain the proper respect and rewards that you've deserved this whole time. As long as, you know, the sooner you learn how to, I guess, value yourself right, the faster maybe things are going to also resolve when it comes to your relationship, what kind of people you attract, when it comes to your professional developments as well. For some people, this transit can bring a lot more money than they used to ever make, okay? However, at the same time, this comes with a lot of responsibility as well. It's not going to be just like a sudden raise. It's going to be probably a promotion, but in a way that requires you to be very responsible, very reliable, very disciplined. Probably takes a lot more time of your free day, or of your free time, I'm sorry. Like, it definitely gives you more to work on, right? More to make, but also more to work on. And this is where the challenge can come in, where it's like, oh, what do I do? You know, do I actually work my butt off and barely see my family and make this much? Or do I maybe start valuing my time more and I go into a different direction? For everybody's story is different. Some people maybe need to work more and need to make more. Others maybe need to value their time more and spend that time with the loved ones and maybe cut down on work a little bit. You know, for everybody is going to be a different story. But the result here is specific. You're going to set boundaries in terms of what are your true values and how other people treat you, right? You're going to make sure that they do not mistreat you again. After this transit, you're going to value yourself a lot more, value your time a lot more. So you will definitely set those boundaries. And regarding money, like I said, you know, regarding resources, yes, things could be shifting there, you know, from defending yourself at the position, possibly getting a promotion, right? Or maybe even experiencing a shift, right? Exploring other paths and finding the one that's right for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you found this helpful, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.